Hi guys, welcome back. We finished reading Holes last week, and so today I wanted to read you another book by the same author, Louis Sachar, or some people say Sacker, Louis Sacker. Another book that he wrote is called Fuzzy Mud, and at the end of Holes, it does a little bit of a preview of Fuzzy Mud. So we're just going to read the beginning of Fuzzy Mud today, and we'll keep going with it tomorrow. This says, "Be careful, your next step may be your last." So Fuzzy Mud, Chapter 1, starts on Tuesday, November 2nd at 11:55 a.m. Woodridge Academy, a private school in Heathcliff, Pennsylvania, had once been the home of William Heath, after whom the town had been named. Nearly 300 students now attended school in the four-story black and brown stone building where William Heath had lived from 1891 to 1917 with only his wife and three daughters. Tamaya DeWilde's fifth grade classroom on the fourth floor had been the youngest daughter's bedroom. The kindergarten area had once been stables. The lunchroom used to be a grand ballroom where elegantly dressed couples had sipped champagne and danced to a live orchestra. Crystal chandeliers still hung from the ceiling, but these days the room permanently smelled of stale macaroni and cheese. 289 kids, ages 5 to 14, crammed their mouths with Cheetos, made jokes about boogers, spilled milk, and shrieked for no apparent reason. Tamaya didn't shriek, but she did gasp very quietly as she covered her mouth with her hand. "He's got this super long beard," a boy was saying, "splotched all over with blood." "And no teeth," another boy added. They were boys from the upper grades. Tamaya felt excited just talking to them, although so far she had been too nervous to actually say anything. She was sitting in the middle of a long table eating lunch with her friends, Monica, Hope, and Summer. One of the older boys' legs was only inches away from hers. "The guy can't chew his own food," said the first boy. "So his dogs have to chew it up for him, and then they spit it out, and then he eats it." "That is so disgusting," exclaimed Monica. But from the way her eyes shone when she said it, Tamaya could tell that her best friend was just as excited as she was to have the attention of the older boys. The boys had been telling the girls all about a deranged hermit who lived in the woods. Tamaya didn't believe half of what they said. She knew that boys liked to show off. Still, it was fun to let herself get caught up in it. "Except they're really not dogs," said the boy sitting next to Tamaya. "They're more like wolves, big and black with giant fangs and glowing red eyes." Tamaya shuddered. Woodridge Academy was surrounded by miles of woods and rocky hills. Tamaya walked to school every morning with Marshall Walsh, a seventh grade boy who lived 3 houses down from her on the other side of their tree-lined street. Their walk was almost 2 miles long, but it would have been a lot shorter if they hadn't had to circle around the woods. "So, what does he eat?" asked Summer. The boy next to Tamaya shrugged. "Whatever his wolves bring him," he said. "Squirrels, rats, people. He doesn't care, just so long as it's food." The boy took a big bite from his tuna fish sandwich, and then he imitated the hermit by curling his lips so that it looked like he didn't have any teeth. He opened and closed his mouth in an exaggerated manner, showing Tamaya his partially chewed food. "You are so gross!" exclaimed Summer from the other side of Tamaya, and then all the boys laughed. Summer was the prettiest of Tamaya's friends, with straw-colored hair and sky blue eyes. Tamaya figured that was probably the reason that the boys were talking to them. In the first place, boys were always acting silly around Summer. Tamaya had dark eyes and dark hair that hung only halfway down her neck. It used to be a lot longer, but 3 days before school had started, while she was still in Philadelphia with her dad, she had made the drastic decision to chop it all off. Her dad had took her to a very posh hair salon that he probably couldn't afford, and as soon as she got it cut, she was filled with regret. But when she got back to Heathcliff, all of her friends told her how mature and sophisticated she looked. Her parents were divorced. She spent most of the summer with her dad and one weekend each month during the school year. Philadelphia was the opposite end of the state, 300 miles away. When she returned home to Heathcliff, she always had the feeling that she had missed something important while she was gone. It might have been nothing more than just an inside joke that her friends all laughed at, but she always felt a little bit left out, and it took her a while to get back into the groove. "He came this close to eating me," said one of the boys, a tough-looking kid with short black hair and a square face. "A wolf snapped at my leg just as I was climbing back over the fence." The boy stood up on top of the bench and showed the girls his pant leg for proof. It was covered in dirt, and Tamaya could see a small hole just above his sneaker, but that could have been from anything. Besides, she thought, if he had been running away from the wolf, then the hole would have been in the back of the pants, not in the front. The boy stared down at her. He had blue, steel-like eyes, and Tamaya got the feeling that he could read her mind, and he was daring her to say something. She swallowed, and then she said, "You're not really allowed in the woods." The boy laughed, and then the other boys laughed too. "What are you gonna do?" he challenged. "Tell Mrs. Thaxton?" She felt her face redden. "No, don't listen to her," said Hope. "Tamaya's a real goody two-shoes." The words stung. Just a few seconds earlier, she had been feeling so cool talking with the older boys, and now they were all looking at her as if she were some kind of a freak. She tried making a joke out of it. "I guess I'll only wear one shoe from now on." Nobody laughed. "You are kind of a goody-goody," said Monica. Tamaya bit her lip. She didn't get why what she had said had been so wrong. After all, Monica and Summer had just called the boys disgusting and gross, but somehow that was okay. If anything, the boys seemed proud that the girls thought that they were disgusting and gross. When did the rules change, she wondered. When did it become bad to be good? Across the lunchroom, Marshall Walsh sat amid a bunch of kids all laughing and talking loudly. On one side of Marshall sat one group. On his other side sat a different group. Between those two groups, Marshall silently ate alone. So we'll pick up on chapter 2 out of Fuzzy Mud tomorrow. I just wanted you to hear the very beginning of it. It is a very fun book. Have a good afternoon.